Welcome, and we start a new parsha this week. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. So we are going to continue essentially where we left off from last year. And if you want to find the earlier recordings, you go to my new YouTube channel and you put in Va'era. That would be VA''ERA. And I believe you'll find all the articles. They are all dated, although right now I'm trying to also number them so that you know which is the first one, the second one, etc. But they're also ordered by date of when we recorded them. So just to let you know. With this, I'm going to start to share the screen and pick up where we were. Well, that's interesting. Let's see here. There we are. So what happened was, as you can see, we've moved into the passage quite a bit. And this is we're actually on the Sheni, as you can see. This is the second Aliyah. And give me one moment while I do that. And we take a break in the narrative. So what happens is we have Moses, of course, coming and speaking to Pharaoh in this particular parsha another time. And we are told, of course, that Pharaoh did not respond very well, etc., etc. But up to this point, the Torah hasn't really told us where Moses and Aaron came from. And as Rashi told us when we finished our study last year, the Torah takes a break here and starts to give us a genealogy. And it's not a complete genealogy. It's only through the tribe of Levi. But since, as Rashi points out, since the Torah is going to go to that trouble, the Torah is going to give us the first few tribes, and Rashi is going to explain to us why the Torah gives us these tribes, even though it's not its main purpose. Its main purpose is to tell us where Aaron, Moses, and Miriam came from, their descendancy. Here we go. Ele Reshare Beit Avotam. These are the heads of their paternal homes. If I were to try to translate this literally. B'nai Ruvain. So here we are. B'nai Ruvain, the sons of Reuven, Bechor Yisrael, the firstborn of Israel. And here we, of course, mean Israel Saba, Israel grandpa, meaning Jacob. Chanoch ufalu Chetzron v'Charmi ele mishpachot Reuven. So he had 4 sons, Chanoch, Palu, Chetzron, and Carmi, and we're told these are the descendants of Reuven. So that's as far as we go with Reuven. Uvnei Shimon, the second born, the sons of Shimon, Yemuel. Yes?
Are you going to you're skipping the Rashi?
Ooh, sorry. Got into the genealogy. Here we go. So Ele Rash, thanks, Lauren. You're keeping me on task. Thank you. Ele Reshare Beit Avotam. These are the heads of their paternal homes. And now he explains. Rashi simply explains. Mitoch shehuskach leyaches shivto shel Levi ad Moshe ve'Aharon. Because he needed to give the genealogy of the tribe of Levi up until Moses and Aaron, Bishvil Moshe ve'Aaron, on account of Moses and Aaron, as I explained before, Hitchil leyachsam derech toldotam mereuvein. He begins to set out the genealogy by means of their birth and the order of their birth from Reuven. And there's this really lovely parenthetical note that is added here. Uve Pesikta Gedola, and in the Pesikta Gedola, I'm not sure, I know about the Pesikta. Apparently there must be I guess it's Pesikta Rabati maybe is what it's termed nowadays, is how we would refer to it. Right. I'm not familiar personally with this midrash. I don't believe I've ever actually cracked its pages to look into it. There are all these midrashim, these early texts or relatively early texts, from which the later commentaries, the Mefarshim, draw, and really interesting stuff. There's just such a ton of material. Ra'iti, I saw, lefi shekanta Ram Yaakov Avihem, that because Jacob, their father, criticized them, lishlosha shvatim halalu, for these three tribes. So remember Reuven, Shimon, and Levi in the blessings that Jacob gives to his sons. We see that he's actually critical. He says things about them that are critical. And so that's why halalu b'sha'at moto, he criticized them at the time of his passing. Chazar hakatuv, the scripture goes back, v'yachsam kan levadam, and gives their genealogy alone, lomar shechashuvim heim, to say that they really are significant. That just because they were criticized didn't render them insignificant as tribes. And that, I think, is a really sort of lovely take on why they would be included here, apart from the initial comment that Rashi makes about this. So the Ra'iti, I saw, is this, I'm not aware that these parenthetical comments, whether they come from certain manuscripts of Rashi, or whether they're some subsequent editor who is adding to what Rashi has to say. At this point, I would have to say that that's, for me, a question that I can't answer at this particular point. It could go either way. And it's possible that in the introduction, there is an introduction to this edition of the Rashi where he explains that. The rabbi who did this, the scholar who did this, explains it. But it is a lovely midrash on why these first, because it stops after that. After it mentions Levi, it doesn't mention anything. So going on. Okay. Uvnei Shimon, the sons of Shimon, Yemuel, v'Yamin, v'Ohad, v'Yachin, v'Tzochar, v'Shaul ben Haknaanit. So the sons of Shimon are Yemuel, Yamin, Ohad, Yachin, and Sohar. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Shaul ben Haknaanit. And what is the reference of this? So you may recollect that I believe we actually touched on this when we were back in Genesis on chapter 46 on Vayigash, where it talks about the fact Rashi actually there on Genesis 46:10 mentions that Shimon, remember one of the brothers who went and killed off Shechem and the town, because Tamar was now without a husband, that he took her as a wife, and she was pregnant from her relations with Shechem, that this is the child that was born, that Shimon adopted as his own. So just interesting, referring back there. Rashi doesn't say anything here about it, but that's this puzzling statement of Shaul, son of the Canaanite woman. Because of course Tamar is not, but she bore Shaul. And again, interesting, of course, that the first king of Israel's name is also Shaul, whether that's purely coincidental or whether there's a deeper message involved in that, it's up to us to determine. Ela mishpachot Shimon, these are the families of Shimon. And now we get to Ve'ele shmot bnei Levi. These are the names of the children of the sons of Levi, letoldotam, according to their generations, according to their births. Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. So Levi had 3 sons, Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. Ushnei chaye Levi, and now he introduces something else. And that is that the life of how old Levi was, how long he lived. Sheva ushloshim ume'at shana. He lived 133 years. Now let's go back here.
7.
sorry, 37 yes, Sheva, 137 years. You'll see that one of them, I believe, does live to 133. But yes, thank you, Lauren. You're paying attention. And let's take a look at the Rashi. Ushne chaye Levi v'gomer. So the comment on the years of Levi's life. Lama nimnu shnotav shalevi, because it's here he does something, the text does something that it wasn't doing before. It didn't do it with Reuven and Shimon, it just does it with Levi. So why are the years of Levi counted? Lehodia kama yemei hashibud, to let us know how many years, how long the enslavement in Egypt lasted. Shekol zman she'echad min hashvatim kayam, because as long as one of the tribes, one of the 12 tribes, was still alive, lo haya shibud, there was no enslavement. Shene'emar, as it states in Exodus chapter 1, Vayamot Yosef vechol echav. It says Joseph died and all his brothers. Va'achar kach, and only after that does it say Vayakom melech chadash, a new king arose. V'Levi he'erich yamim al kulam, and Levi lived longer than all of them. So Levi was the last to die. We cannot count the 137 years of Levi's life as part of the enslavement, as part of counting towards the years of enslavement. Just to let you know that. Okay? So we're going to go on. So the Torah is actually giving us quite a lot of information here. Okay, let's go on. We need to go back here. Bnei Gershon, Levi v'Shim'i, the sons of Gershon, Livni v'Shim'i, lemishpechotam, according to their families. Uvnei Kahat, remember 3 sons of Levi, Bnei Kahat, Amram v'Yitzhar, Amram and Yitzhar, v'Chevron, Chevron v'Uziel. Hebron and Uziel. These names actually become significant later on in the Torah narrative, that we're going to be referring to these people, or some of them anyway, later on, and we are going to refer to Uziel later on, and that's significant in terms of Korach's rebellion. So we're going to have to wait until we get to the book of Numbers before we recognize one of the reasons why Korach rebelled against Moses. And here we go. Ushne chaye Kahat, and the years of Kahat's life, Shalosh ushloshim ume'at shana, 133 years. I believe, let's take a look and see if there's any Rashi here. Yes, here we are. Ushne chaye Kahat, ushne chaye Amram. So let's hold off on this until we get to Amram as well. So we'll stay with the narrative for a little bit. Uvnei, so just to finish up, remember there were 3 Levitical families, Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. That is going to be significant later on in Exodus, where we talk, or in Numbers, where we talk about the porterage tasks of the Levitical families. So in the book of Numbers. Uvnei Merari, Machli Umushi, his 2 sons, Merari's sons were Machli and Mushi, Ele Mishpachot HaLevi Letoldotam. These are the families of Levi according to their generations. Vayikach Amram et Yochevet Todato. And here we have support for what Rashi had told us earlier. Amram took Yochevet, his aunt, Lo leisha, as a wife. So in other words, a sister of his father, right? Va'telet lo, and she bore him et Aharon ve'et Moshe. So they don't mention Miriam here, but she bore him Aaron and Moses. Ushne chaye Amram, and the years of Amram's life, Sheva ushlosham ume'at shana. So 7 and 30 and 100 years. So 137 years. So The reason why I think it doesn't mention Miriam is because at this point in the story, we're going to be reading about how Moses and Aaron have to appear to Pharaoh. And Miriam is not part of the story right now. Of course, we've mentioned Miriam before regarding saving Moses' life. Let's go into, although in a sense, it breaks here a little bit the way in which they're formulating the genealogy. So we're going to continue with the genealogy just to finish up Moses' contemporaries. But let's go on here. Ushnei chayei Kahat, ushnei chayei Amram. And the years of Kahat's life and the years of Amram. So he says, Mecheshbon zeh, from this calculation, Anu lomdim al moshav b'nei Yisrael, we learn regarding the settling of the children of Israel, Arba me'oshana, which is mentioned as 400 years, She'amar HaKatuv, which Scripture stated, Shelo be'eretz Mitzrayim levada hayu, that those 400 years are not only referring to the land of Egypt, Ela meyom shenolad Yitzchak, but in fact refers to once Isaac is born. In other words, from the moment that Abraham and Sarah bear Isaac, the 400 years begins. And he explains why. Shaharei Kahat miyordei Mitzrayim haya, because Kahat, one of the Levi's son, Kahat, was one of those who came down to Egypt. In other words, he was already born in the land of Canaan. So you have to take some of Kahat's life and say they can't be included in the servitude, because we know that the number of years only started, or that the servitude only started following the death of Levi. Haya chashuv kol shnotav ushnot Amram ushmonim shel Moshe. If you calculate even all his years and the years of Amram and the 80 years, because we know that Moses was 80 years old when he took the children of Israel, when he went to speak to Pharaoh. It's a matter of calculation. We know that he died at 120. We know that he spent 40 years in the wilderness. So right before that was the Exodus. So 120 minus 40 equals 80. So he was 80 years at this particular time, because this is when God is taking the Jewish people out of Egypt. Lo timtzaem arba ma'ot. If you add these all up, you're not going to get even 400. Arba'ot shana. You won't get 400 years. V'harbei shanim nivlaim livnei levanim bishnei ha'avot. And not only that, it's not like they had children at the end of their life. You have to include within their lives some of the years of their sons' lives. So in no way, shape, or form do you get 400. Now I'm going to try and see. I wrote this up. Can you see this on your screen or not? I need to hear this. If you cannot see it on your screen, I'm going to have to reshare.
Cannot.
You cannot. Okay, so let me stop this share and let me see if this works. Not seeing it. 1 second. Let me do this. This may work. We'll see. And maybe it won't. Okay. Try something again. Let me see something else. Let's see. All right. Let me see if this will work. Otherwise, it won't share my notes. So it doesn't look like it's allowing me to share my notes. I'm looking through all the things that it is sharing. And it doesn't look like it's going to do that. Nope. All right. Well, I just tried to do something so that I'm sorry, I'm still looking to see if there's chance that it's doing this, and it doesn't look like it. All right.
Had you saved the notes yet?
Let me try that. The good point. So let me do this. It doesn't talk about saving the notes.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't give me that option.
It's worth a shot.
It was definitely worth a shot. Give me a moment here. Let me see something else. Oh, it says share note. Well, maybe I'll tell you what I can do. What I can try and do is make a copy and put it in the chat. Let's see if this works. I'm not sure that it is. Nope, that's not working either. All right. Let's try something. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, really. Oh dear. Okay. Let's see this. No, I'm not happy with this. So never.
In the meantime, this was almost word for word what they said back in Bereshit.
Yes.
Chapter 46.
A lot of it is. I know. A lot of it's parallel. You're right.
So what I want to know, didn't Rashi worry about the fact that we're doing it again? So but he does explain why we're doing it again.
Right, but it doesn't. I don't believe in Genesis it mentioned anything about Moses.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
and
it
that's
goes.
Why
I mean,
it goes
up to Levi's tribes. I mean, that's about it.
Right. But here the point of this section here, and Rashi in a sense has explained this,
right,
is to discuss with us and to let us know exactly who Moses and Aaron were, that they aren't just some random characters. They actually are related and come down from the tribe of Levi, and that's going to be important regarding the priesthood and why the tribe of Levi was selected, because you're always going to get people who are going to have a problem with that.
Yep.
And question it. I mean, to this day, I hear people commenting about David and King David, that is, and the fact that somehow the Torah, the scriptural text is politicized, and that it actually represents political concerns, etc., etc. Well, let me go on back then, and we'll continue. I'm going to go back to the screen share. And we can continue, just that we have a little time. Right. Let's make sure. Right. Uvnei Yitzhar. So we're going again. These are contemporaries of Moses that we're going to read about. The children of Yitzhar, Korach. There we go. This is the Korach we're talking about. The Nepheg and Nepheg Zichri. So 3 children, Korach, Nepheg, and Zichri. And Yitzhar, of course, is second born to Amram. Uvnei Uziel, Mishael, ve'Elzaphan, ve'Sitri. And the children of Uziel, Mishael, Elzaphan, ve'Sitri. And again, as I mentioned, we are going to have these people mentioned later on. Let's make sure I have everything there. Oh, we didn't do this particular Rashi. Yochevet Dorato. In other words, Amram took for a wife Yochevet, his aunt. And Rashi gives here the Aramaic from Onkelos. Here it is. Let's find it here. Here it is in the Onkelos, in the Aramaic translation. Unesiv Amram, that means Amram married Yat Yochevet, Achat Avuhi, the sister of his father, Leila into he took her as his wife. So Rashi simply is quoting Onkelos without saying that. So here, Achat Avuhi, the sister of his father, Bat Levi, the daughter of Levi. So in other words, the sister of Kahat. And Kahat was Amram's father. A little bit more. Uvnei Yitzhar, so here we go. We did this or not? Yeah. I think we did all of this. Right.
We're on 23.
23, yes, thank you. Just want to make sure I'm covering all the Rashis, yes. Vayikach Aharon, this is of interest to you if you want to know who Aaron's wife was. Aharon et Elishava bat Aminadav. Look at these names, some of which you are familiar now, and look at how the dots are being connected. This is, of course, in the Torah itself, right? Aaron took Elisheva, Elizabeth, bat Aminadav, the daughter of Aminadav.
Is that his granddaughter?
Say that again?
I thought, oh. No. I mean,
Aminadav is from the tribe of Judah.
Okay.
Right? A sister of Nachshon. Remember, Nachshon was one of the princes of the tribe of Judah, Lo Leisha. So it mentions that Elizabeth, sister of Nachshon, to himself as a wife, Vateled lo, and she bore him Nadav ve'Avihu ve'et Azar et Itamar. She bore him Nadav, Avihu, Elazar, and Itamar. And you may enjoy the next little Rashi that we've got, Achot Nafshon. So again, what jumps out for Rashi is why couldn't he just said Elisheva, daughter of Aminadav? Why did she have to mention sister of Nachshon? So why is the Torah telling us? And we're going to find out in a moment. This is from Baba Batra, the Tractate Babylonian Talmud, page 110, and also in Shemot Rabbah. Mikan lamadnu, and from this verse we learn, Hanose Isha, that one who wishes to marry a woman, Tzarich livdok ba'acheha, he needs to check out her brother. You want to make sure that the brother's character is such that your wife is going to be a worthy wife. I would have to imagine that, or just to know, because you're going to get connected, right? You don't just marry a person, you marry a family. And we'll stop right here.